Good day everyone, especially to you sir. We are the group 5 and today we will going to tackle about the conditional and the biconditional and other related statement. So let's go first with the conditional statement. So conditional are sometimes called implication, whereas the conditional is a logical compound statement in which a statement P called antecedent implies statement Q called consequent. And as you can see here in this slide, it shows here how to write the conditional, and it was translated as if P then Q, or it could be P implies Q. Okay, so let's proceed to the next slide. So as you can see here, we've given some examples for us to find the antecedent and the consequent. So the example here is, if it is raining, then there are clouds in the sky. So our antecedent is yung if it is raining, and our consequent is then there are clouds in the sky. Okay, so let's proceed now on the rules of conditional statement. So the conditional statement tells us if the antecedent is true, then the consequent is true or cannot be false. But if the conditional statement is only false when a true antecedent implies a false consequent. And in order for us to understand more about the rules of the conditional, I will show you later on the truth table of the conditional. So now let's proceed on the next slide. So makikita natin sa slides na ito yung truth table of conditional and also kung ano yung rules niya. So makikita natin sa first row yung P and Q, which is the P is the antecedent and the Q is the consequent na nabanggit din natin kanina. So the rules here is, if the antecedent is true and the consequent is true, then it was true. So in the third row, if the antecedent is true and the consequent is false, then it was false. In the fourth row, if the antecedent is false and the consequent is true, then it was true. And the last row, if the antecedent and the consequent are both false, then it means it was true. So sa gilid nito, meron tayong example in a statement form with the use of the rule of the conditional truth table rules. So number 1 is the example of yung nasa second row, which is if the antecedent is true and the consequent is true, then it is true. So in a statement 4, yung number 1, in a statement form, yung number 1, I do live in an apartment and I pay rent, which is the antecedent and the consequent is both true, then the statement is true. So yung number 2 natin is yung example ng pang third row sa ating truth table of conditional, which is if the antecedent is true and the consequent is false, then it was false. So here are example in a statement form. I live in an apartment, which is true, and I don't pay rent, which is false. So ibig sabihin ang statement na ito is false. So in number 3, ito naman yung example ng pang fourth row ng ating truth table of conditional, which is if the antecedent is false and the consequent is true, then it is true. So in a statement form, I don't live in an apartment but I do pay rent, which is our antecedent is false and our consequent is true. So that means this statement is true. So in the last row, which is the if the antecedent is false or both antecedent and consequent are false, then it was true. Then, yung example niya in statement form is yung number 4, which is, I don't live in an apartment, but I don't live in an apartment and I don't pay rent, which is false lahat yung antecedent and ang ating consequent. So that means this statement is true.
So, good day, sir. My name is Nurbaya Omar Kusin from the SM1A. So, let's proceed to the biconditional statement, which is a biconditional statement is a conditional statement in which the antecedent and consequent is interchangeable. So, the biconditional statement written in P if only in Q, or P if and only if yung Q po. So, ganun po siya basahin yung biconditional statement. So, biconditional statement also defined as true if they are both true and both false. So, ibig sabihin, kapag po nakita natin yung P na merong T or truth, and then yung Q is true din or merong T sa truth table, is ang result nun sa P if and only if Q is also truth. Kapag false po ang nakita natin sa P, then sa Q is false, then ang result po nito sa truth table is also truth, kasi pareho yung dalawa ng thought, which is truth, false. But then, kapag nakita natin na merong false, merong truth, which is hindi sila magkapareho, ibig sabihin nun, mapufall po siya sa false sa result ng kanyang truth table. So, ganun po yung process ng biconditional statement natin. So, meron po akong ipapakita dito na example. Ulitin ko, yung biconditional po natin is combined with conditional statement and its converse. And then, denoted by P if and only if Q. So, ganun po siya basahin. Yung biconditional statement symbol po is, yun po yung written or pagbasa. In terms of pagbasa po ng P na merong biconditional statement symbol, then Q is ganun po. Ulitin ko po yung P, if, and only if po yung pagbasa sa biconditional statement natin na ganyan po with biconditional statement symbol. So, let's proceed to the example. So, nakikita nyo po yung ginawa ko dito. Dito sa kabila is meron tayong P, and then meron tayong Q. And then, the third row po ng ating table is meron tayong P, if, and only if Q. So, dito sa table is, naglagay po ako ng T, which is true. And then, sa Q is meron tayong also true, which is the T. And then, ang result nito, as earlier na remember niyo yung sinabi ko kanina, na ang condition po ng biconditional statement po is, kapag both po, they are both true and they are both false, is, ang result nito sa truth tables po is truth, which is what I have said earlier, yung condition ng biconditional statement natin. So, yung P, meron tayong nilagay na T or truth. Yung Q, meron tayong nilagay na T. And then, the result from to the truth tables ng ating biconditional statement is ma-false siya sa truth. Kasi dalawa silang truth. And then, the next one naman is sa P, meron ako nilagay na T, and then sa Q is meron ako nilagay na F or false. So, hindi niya na-meet yung condition ng biconditional statement, which is dapat both truth and both false silang dalawa. And then, ang result nito, which is ang P is meron tayong T, ang Q meron tayong F. So, ang result nito sa ating truth table ng biconditional statement is false. And then, dito naman tayo sa third row ng ating truth table is, or dito sa third part is meron tayong F, Sa P, meron tayong F, and then sa Q is meron tayong T. So, which is, hindi na naman yan na-meet yung condition ng biconditional statement. So, nawala yung rules ng biconditional statement na dapat both true and both false. So, pag ganito yung makita niyo sa truth table ng biconditional statement is ang result nito sa P if and only if niya is magiging false kasi hindi niya na-meet yung rules ng biconditional statement or yung condition ng biconditional statement. And then the last part po is sa P is naglagay po ako ng F which is false. Sa Q is naglagay ako ng F which is false also. And then the result niya dito sa truth table ng biconditional statement is truth kasi na-meet niya yung rules or condition ng biconditional statement. So, ganun lang po kasimple yung biconditional statement. So, ulitin ko po, ang biconditional statement natin is combination of conditional statement and its converse, and then denoted as P if and only if Q, and then defined as both true and both false po. Kaya doon natin ma-identify kung biconditional ba siya or biconditional statement ba siya or conditional statement. So, ganun lang po kadali intindihin yung biconditional statement natin. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, now let us proceed to the biconditional statement. So, kanina nalaman natin kung ano yung pinagkaiba ng biconditional statement sa conditional statement and kung ano naman yung rules ng bawat statement. So, here's the standard formula ng biconditional statement. So, para mas lalo nating maintindihan yung example ng biconditional statement, so gumawa sila ng sentences sa bawat row ng table na ito. So, here's the biconditional statement table. So, yung first row ng biconditional statement is yung general statement niya is the garbage truck comes down my street if and only if it is Thursday morning. So, meaning to say, yung garbage truck daw is pumupunta lang siya sa street nila if and only if it is Thursday morning. So, ang antecedent dito, yung the garbage truck comes on my street, ang tawag sa kanya is antecedent. While yung consequent niya is if and only if it is Thursday morning. So, both of them are true. Di ba yung rules ng biconditional statement is if the antecedent and the consequent is true, then it will be true. Kapag false naman yung antecedent and yung consequent niya is, then it will be truth also. Pero kapag merong isang false sa bawat column is agad-agad itong false. So, another row, here's the example. It is noon on Thursday and the garbage truck did not come down my street this morning. So, kung i-compare natin itong statement doon sa general statement natin, is yung antecedent niya, it is noon Thursday. So, tama na ito. Yung consequent naman niya, and the garbage truck did not come down my street this morning. So, di ba yung sa general statement is pumupunta yung garbage truck sa kanilang street every Thursday. So, yung consequent niya is mali na agad yun. So, false na yun kasi may mali na doon sa column na yun. Letter B, it is Monday and the garbage truck is coming down my street. So, i-compare din natin ito sa general statement. So, it is Monday. So, agad-agad na mali. Diba? Doon sa general statement, ang nakalagay doon is if and only if it is Thursday. So, the antecedent ng letter B is false. Okay, so, yung consequent naman niya, and the garbage truck is coming down my street. So, it will be truth ito. So, the result will be false kasi nga, meron nang mali sa statement na yon. Last one, last arrow is letter C. It is Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. and the garbage truck did not come down my street today. So, both of them are false kasi ang nakalagay doon sa general statement is
if and only if it is Thursday morning lang pumupunta yung garbage truck sa kanilang street. So, the result will be true. Kasi yung rules ng biconditional statements, once na yung both of the column are true, then it will be true. Or both of the column are false, then it will be truth also. Pero kapag meron itong mali is agad-agad itong mali.
Today, sir. So today I'll discuss the converse, inverse, and contrapositive, which are the different types of conditional statement. So first is converse. Converse swaps the hypothesis and conclusion of a conditional statement, while inverse negates both the hypothesis and conclusion. Lastly, the contrapositive, which swaps the hypothesis and conclusion, then negates both. Converse. If P then Q, if Q then P. Like for example, if a number is divisible by 10, then it is divisible by 5. Ang converse niya is if a number is divisible by 5, then it is divisible by 10. So let's proceed to inverse. If P then Q, then if not P, then not Q. Like for example, if a number is divisible by 10, then it is divisible by 5. So the inverse is if a number is not divisible by 10, then it is not divisible by 5. Lastly, contrapositive. If P then Q, if not P, then not Q. Other example again. If a number is divisible by 10, then it is divisible by 5. So the contrapositive is if a number is not divisible by 5, then it is not divisible by 10. So before I will end, I have a logical equivalence. A conditional statement and its contrapositive are logically equivalent, meaning they are both true or both false. So very understandable lang po. They both true and both false. Sa conditional. Sa converse naman, and inverse of a conditional statement are logically equivalent. A conditional statement naman is converse and its inverse are not necessarily equivalent. And that's all po. Thank you.
Good day, sir. I am Norlin Maulana and this is my part in our report. From the definition, converse is if and then situation na binabaliktad. For example po is, if it is raining, then there are clouds in the sky, which seems to be true. The converse is that if there are clouds in the sky, then it is raining. That is not always true po, kung magpo-focus tayo sa kanyang naging meaning. In terms of construction po, kung mapapansin po natin, binabaliktad lang ang positions ng hypothesis and conclusion. From the original sentence, the conclusion or the if it is raining ay nasa unahan, sa converse version naman po ay magiging then na po ito, or nasa hulihan na po siya. Tapos, ang then from the original form naman po ay if naman sa converse version, yung if there are clouds in the sky po. So, meaning to say, ang converse po ay binabaliktad lang po ang if and then or the hypothesis and conclusion ng original form ng sentences po.
Inverse. If would be if it is not raining, then there are not clouds in the sky. Likewise, this is not always true. So, if a number is not even, then it's not divisible by 2. This is not always true because odd number are not even but still number divisible too. So in this case, the inverse happen to be true but that not guaranteed general. A number is even that is divisible by 2. So for example, is P, a number is even, then Q, the number is divisible by 2. Original if P, then Q.
Hello sir, I am Uto Sandra B. So my topic is contrapositive. If there are not clouds in the sky, then it's not raining. This statement is true and equivalent to the conditional. So contrapositive, the contrapositive is logically equivalent to the original statement. This means in the original is a true. The contrapositive is also true. So if the contrapositive is false, the original is also false.
The next is example of conditional, converse, inverse, and contrapositive. The format of converse is if P and Q. Halimbawa or example, if you are a Filipino, then if you are an Asian, di ba? Ginamit ni Filipino si P, then si Asian is Q. And then sa converse naman is, ang format nito is pinagpalit lang sila. Kinonverse lang ba sila, pinagpalit. Then ang format is if Q then if P. Halimbawa, if you are an Asian, then if you are Filipino. Pinagpalit lang si Asian, si Filipino kay conditional. Pinagpalit lang sila, parang kinonverse, 'di ba? Kinonverse, pinagpalit. And then next is inverse. Ang inverse naman is, ang format nito is if you are if not P or then if P. Ang statement niya din is nasa conditional, pero dinagdagan lang siya ng not, which is the example is if you are not a Filipino, then if you are not an Asian, di ba? Same doon sa conditional, pero dinagdagan lang siya ng not. Ang number 4 naman is contrapositive. Ang format nito, if not Q, then not P. Halimbawa or example is, if you are not an Asian, then if you are not Filipino. Ang kwan naman nito is, ang statement naman niya is nasa converse, which is nasa contrapositive na siya naman ginamit, pero nilagyan lang siya ng not. Dinagdagan lang siya ng not. Ganun lang ka-simple yun. Dinagdag, di ba sa conditional pati converse pala, conditional and converse is pinagpalit. Then naman sa inverse at contrapositive is dinagdagan lang sila ng not. Pero ang same statement lang siya is nandoon sa taas, which is sa conditional and converse. And para mas madaling maintindihan, ang conditional is the original and the converse is pinagbaliktad lang siya, and inverse is purely negative. And then sa contrapositive is sa contrapositive naman is i-reverse siya plus negative. Yun po siya. Uulitin ko po. Sa conditional is the original, and sa converse is ni-reverse lang siya. Ni-reverse, and sa inverse is purely negative, and sa contrapositive is ni-reverse plus negative. Okay, gets? If a shape is rectangle, then has a 4 sides. Kung shape niya is rectangle, meron siyang 4 sides. Then, converse, if a shape has 4 sides, then the shape is rectangle. Ganun pa din, if a shape is 4 sides, and the shape is rectangle pa din. Inverse. If a shape is not rectangle, then the shape does not have 4 sides. Kapag naman hindi siya shape ng rectangle, hindi siya magiging 4 sides. Katulad na lang ng triangle. Hindi siya rectangle kasi triangle nga. 3 sides lang siya, hindi siya magiging 4 sides. Contrapositive, if a shape does not have 4 sides, then the shape is not a rectangle. Kapag shape niya naman is walang 4 sides din, hindi siya magiging rectangle kasi katulad din siya ng triangle, hindi siya 4 sides kasi 3 sides lang siya kasi rectangle na.